YouTube, I'm back again about a question. This one is specifically relating to calibers of pistols. And a lot of people who know me know that my personal favorite choice for home defense or just for a duty carry is the 45 caliber ACP. Now, it doesn't matter that it's a 1911 or a Glock 21 or a Sig Sauer P220 or a Canic or Heckler and Koch. 45 ACP has been my favorite cartridge for a long time. It just is. I'm not saying that it's better than any other caliber. I'm not saying that 9mm is the best or that it's jacked up. I'm not saying that 45 is the best or it's jacked up, or 357 Magnum or 44 Magnum or 10mm or 380 automatic or 22 long rifle. I'm not here to get into the caliber wars. There's caliber wars. It seems like there's always going to be caliber wars. I don't remember a time when there wasn't a caliber war. Um, but I don't want to even get into the caliber wars because that's not what this is about. This is about my take on what I use and why I use it. Okay, so the 45 ACP, which stands for automatic Colt pistol. A lot of people get that wrong. 45 ACP, automatic Colt pistol, which was designed by John Moses Browning around the frame and the platform for the 1911 pistol. When he designed the 1911 pistol, he also designed the round to go with it, which was the 45 ACP. Since Colt got the contract to develop or to build, to produce that design, it became the 45 ACP. People get that so construed, and I don't know why, because it's a historical fact. John Moses Browning designed the pistol, the 1911, in the year 1911, and it was contracted to be built through Colt. So the cartridge was designated as the 45 ACP. 45, obviously the diameter of the bullet was 0.445 of an inch, which if it was 0.5 more, it'd be 500 thousandths. So basically it's, just shy of 500 thousandths of an inch, half an inch, which would have been 500 thousandths. No, that's another whole nother thing. I'm a machinist, so I'm talking in machinist terminology, but it's 0.5 shy of a half of an inch. That's why it's 45.45. ACP, automatic Colt pistol. Look it up. You don't believe me? Don't take my word for it. Look it up. So, I've always had a love affair with the 45 ACP pistol, caliber rather, but I've also had a love affair with the 1911. I love the 1911. It's just my favorite handgun. Some people, people talk smack, whatever. I don't care. That's just my personal preference. That's what I like. So, but I also own a Glock 21 SF in 45 ACP. I also own a Sig Sauer P220 in 45 ACP. Now, I alternate between those three pistols. The 1911 Springfield mil-spec stainless steel. Love that gun. Great gun. That gun, which has been uber reliable, by the way. Uber reliable, meaning I've never had a problem. And I bought that gun years ago. It's custom. I've customized it, but bought that gun years ago. Not a problem. It's a bet your life reliability type thing. So again, I'm not going to get into the caliber wars, but the 1911, the mil-spec Springfield 1911 has been very uber reliable for me. I bought that thing in 2010, and here we are about to go into 2011. That's 11 years. Taken it to the range many times, never had a problem. Shot it outside, in the dirt, whatever. Indoor ranges, outdoor ranges. I've modified it. I put on skeletonized trigger and an extended beaver tail, some bells and whistles, stuff like that. I polished the chamber. but it's a mil spec, so it already had like high standards. The mil spec for the 1911s by Springfield, the mil specs have a good reputation, and deservedly so. Deservedly so. And then it being stainless steel, it's more resistant to corrosion and stuff like that. Either way, the whole idea, what I'm getting at, is that the 45 pistol, the 45 caliber, I like it. It's not a debatable thing. It's just what I like. I'm not here to debate. But one of the things about that caliber that I really like is it's versatile. It was used in submachine guns, in the grease gun. It was used in the Thompson submachine gun, the UMP, also a submachine gun. There's several pistols out there, like I mentioned some. Heckler and Koch. Beretta has a 45. Canic pistols. Colt, obviously. Sig Sauer. They got the 227 and the 220. I got the 220. Glock. Glock has the Glock 30, the Glock 21. There's, the short, longer, whatever. So there's just a ton of guns out there in 45 ACP. But, I get questions about it. Oh, man, you like 45? Yeah, yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's more mass if you're shooting the hard ball, which is 230 grain. There used to be a saying, they all fall to ball. The hard ball, 230 grain bullet that comes out of the 45, your gun, whatever gun you decide to buy, you're going to be pushing the muzzle velocity typically for a 45 ACP is usually subsonic. Sometimes you can get some plus P's, but even then, if you push past the supersonic thing with a 45, okay, it's possible. They have ammo out there, but it's not typical. Typically, you're going to have like 950 feet per second, stuff like that, which is subsonic. You can have hollow points, whatever, but it's still pushing a lot of energy. The thing about it that's good is when you have that subsonic ammo coming out at between 850 to 950 to 1,000 feet per second, you're getting this big old thud that's going to mushroom out. The bullet, when it hits the mass of a target, it's going to mushroom out, and it's going to create this stopping effect of the target. And then you also have the idea that it's not going to overpenetrate because it's not supersonic. It's not going to pass through the person and hit another person. That's a benefit to me because if I'm shooting the bad guy, I don't want to shoot the bad guy and then the good guy behind the bad guy. Whereas 9mm, it could pass right through because it's supersonic and is moving very fast. I like 9mm. I have no problem with 9mm. I have 9mm, and I own a pistol I own a little Glock that's converted into a 9mm just because I swapped the barrel out. It's a Glock 27 with a conversion barrel, and I shoot 9mm out of that gun, making it in essence a Glock 26. When I was in the Marine Corps, my sidearm that was issued to me was a M9 Beretta 92. In the civilian market, it'll be the Beretta 92 FS, and in the Marine Corps, it's the M9 9mm. It's the same gun. Great gun, very accurate. 15+1, or you can get 20+1, and it's an accurate gun. It's a good gun. I like the Beretta M9. I carried that thing for 7 or 8 years, something like that. Great gun. Great gun. I always qualified expert with it. Matter of fact, when I went to PMI school, which is Rifle and Pistol Coach course in the Marine Corps, we call it PMI school. It was a pretty big class. It was like 70 of us, 60 or 70 of us. Pretty big class. Out of those 70 guys and gals, I was one of the top 10 or 11, shooters with the pistol, with the M9. I scored out of a 400 possible score, I shot a 390 something, 392, 393, something like that. So I was just a few points shy of 400. You know, like 7 or 8 points shy of 400. And we had a little friendly competition amongst us, you know. And I was up there, man. I scored like 9, 10, or 11. I don't remember exactly. Out of like 70 guys, I was up with that 9 millimeter. Now, when it comes to 45, if I was allowed to bring my 1911, my mil spec, oh yeah, all day. That's just because I use it a lot and I practice with it. But I'll tell you this straight out, without any doubt, without any mental doubts, one of the most accurate pistols I ever fired in a semi-automatic platform magazine fed, 6R P220. Yes, sir. This is a very accurate handgun pistol. Out to 50 yards, 50 meters. This gun is spot on. Now, it's a $1,000 pistol. Very expensive, but it's quality, very good quality. One of the best quality manufacturing out there. Companies that manufacture sidearms. It has a rail, as you can see there, so you can mount your lights and lasers. That's why this one's called the SIG P220R for rail. This gun was designed and built in not this particular model, this one here, but the overall design of this weapon was designed in 1975, and it came out before the trials of the Marine Corps, the Army, whatever, the U.S. military. They were gonna do trials for a new pistol. SIG thinking, oh, they're probably gonna do 45 again because they, the military, U.S. military carries 45 ACP. The U.S. military was already gearing towards a NATO round, and they wanted a 9 millimeter, which a lot of people don't know this. That's where the birth of the 226 came in, 6-hour 226, because the 6-hour people scrambled because this is what they first produced and wanted to enter this into the trials. The U.S. military wasn't looking at a 45 anymore. But SIG produced this gun, and it was like, wow, what a great gun, right? 45 ACP, reliable, has a decocker. See that? It has a decocker, double action trigger, which is 10 pound, and then 4.5 pound. They threw in that extra round, which this is an 8-round magazine, which is our old 1911s back then had 7 plus 1 in the chamber for 8 rounds. This has 8 plus 1 in the chamber for 9 rounds. So they threw in an extra round. Same thing, stainless steel magazine, very reliable magazines, great magazines. These magazines are well made. They're made in Italy, which is weird. And it says on there, made in Italy. And this is made, 6 hours out of, they closed their plant. You guys look into that, but their Swiss plant, because this is Swiss and German. The two guys, the SIG and the Sauer is a German name and a Swiss name. And they came together to design their company, Swiss SIG Sauer. And world renowned. But again, once they designed the 45, that SIG 220, this one here, then they're like, oh, whoa, the U.S. military wants a 9 millimeter. So then they had to make another one, and they called that one the P226. And they entered that one in the trials. Now, here's another misnomer that people don't know. Not everybody, some of you gun guys know, not everybody knows this, that the SIG 226 did extremely well in the trials. Whatever the requirements were to fire 1,000 rounds with no stoppages and fire in the dirt and whatever the trials were, whatever the rules governing those trials in the Aberdeen Proving Grounds, which is where they do all that testing, which is in Maryland. It's an Army base. Like, fire 1,000 rounds, can't have more than 5 jams or something, and put it in sand, take it out, shake it out, shoot it. The magazines have to be able to feed and, whatever. I don't know all the rules. But whatever those rules are, the SIG 226 passed. Flying colors, from what I understand. But so did the Beretta M9. Matter of fact, those are the only two that passed. Out of whatever guns were accepted into the trials that were implemented, like, oh, try our gun, try our gun, try our gun. The only two that passed were the M9 Beretta and the SIG 226, which is this same platform except in a different caliber. This is a 45, SIG 226 is obviously 9mm. But the Army went with the Beretta for whatever reasons. There's all this speculation as to why. I don't know, I wasn't there. But there's a ton of different reasons, one of which makes the most sense to me, is cost. In other words, Beretta's like, we'll give you all this with this much. We're only going to charge you this much. Sig Sauer being a more expensive gun, with more expensive maintenance or whatever and all this other stuff. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't know. Everybody's like, oh, it's political because Ronald Reagan had this deal with Italy and, so we can have our Navy over there and put a base in Palermo or something, and so as a payback, it's like, oh, we'll take your contract with the Beretta gun. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I did hear that. But I also heard about cost, and that makes sense. Hey, this is less expensive, but they both pass. They both are reliable guns. Get the cheaper one because they both work. That could work too. I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't make that call. I wasn't a general in the Army who said this is the one we're going to go with. I was a staff sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. Some things are above your pay grade. I was in charge of a howitzer crew, an artillery gun crew with machine guns and grenade launchers and the howitzer and the ammunition and the sights and the gunner and the A gunner and calling back to FDC, Fire Direction Center, getting the data for the deflection and quadrant, making sure the Marines are well trained on all the howitzer jobs, and the gun truck driver knew his job, and the corpsman knew how to do his thing, and I knew how to do my thing, and I was concerned about that, and running patrols at night. Keep it simple within the parameters of what a staff NCO does. And one of those things was teaching marksmanship. When I went to the PMI school, which I really loved, and martial arts. Went to the McMap school as well. Good stuff. Another topic for another time. But the 45 ACP holds a special place in my heart. It's one of those bet your life, I trust my life carrying it on my side kind of thing. Yeah, it only holds 8 rounds plus 1. 8 rounds plus 1 equals 9, and you have a few more spare mags. And some people go, oh, a Glock or an M9 or whatever holds 15 plus 1. Yeah, but I'm super accurate with this. Super accurate. So if I shoot somebody with this, why would I need to shoot 15 times if I can shoot them 2 or 3 times with this? 45 is a bigger bullet, hits harder. That's just a fact. It's physics. I'm not saying that the 45 is this nuclear weapon, but it has more mass. It's traveling a lot slower, so it's going to thud a lot more with a lot more energy in that sense. The 9mm is a faster moving projectile. It's a smaller moving projectile. Sometimes people get hit with a 9mm, it zips right through them and they don't know they're hit. Especially if they're on dope. If they're all drugged up or whatever. The whole idea was this was designed in conjunction with what the Army wanted to stop people who are on dope. Look that up too. That's also a fact. Because the 38 revolver, 38 caliber pistol, which was the 38 revolver, 38 special, whatever, was the sidearm issued at that time for the U.S. Army, wasn't stopping guys who were charging, ambushing the U.S. troops on dope. And then here comes along John Moses Browning, who said, okay, I got something for you, 45. And when it was issued to the Army and they were using it all over the world, in Nicaragua and all these different places, the reports were coming back that, hey, that 45, it's putting them down. Once it hits, they drop, even if they're doped up. It's just a big old bullet with a lot of energy, and it thuds, boom, and it knocks them down, even if they're on dope. And that was the reason that the U.S. military was like, we love this gun. We're going to keep using it since World War I, 1911, all the way up until 2000 and something, when when they stopped. And I say 2007, meaning the special operations community was still using the 45, even though in 1985 the U.S. military had adopted the Beretta. In 1985, the special operations community was still using the 45 caliber pistol in some capacity or another, as a within the 1911 platform, or the SOCOM program, which was the Heckler and Koch had the what is it? It was called the Heckler and Koch. It was called the SOCOM, the pistol, which was a 45 ACP Heckler and Koch 45 caliber pistol with the threaded barrel, and it had a 12 round magazine, single stacked. I believe it was single stacked. It could have been double, but I believe it was single stacked. And it had this suppressor that was able to be put on it, and these night sights, and it's uber reliable, very accurate. But it fit the role in the special operations community of having that knockdown power, but with 12 rounds plus one in the chamber. They got 12 rounds of 45 ACP with these big old thud bullets coming down range, and with night sights, and then the stealth. See the aspect of that, the suppressor, and it's a subsonic round. Now you don't get that supersonic crack of the bullet. The report lowers your profile, so it was good for the special operations community. So the Heckler and Koch SOCOM pistol was utilized by Delta Force, Navy SEALs, that kind of special force, Green Berets, Force Recon, whatever. Those kind of units were using the SOCOM pistol, which is a great pistol, by the way, and it's expensive. You could still buy it, a civilian version of it. But the 45 has been around a long time. It's still, to this day, utilized in one form or another in military or police circles. 9mm pretty much dominates. Most police agencies have 9mm. The U.S. military uses 9mm. It's a NATO round. 9mm is predominantly what's used. Again, I don't have anything against 9mm. Personal preference for my own sidearm as a staff NCO, as a civilian now, 45 ACP. Now, it's not just the Sig Sauer 220. I have a Glock 21 that I also like, and I use that one. It's also accurate, and I like that one too. But just for ease of comfort, I put some Hogue grips on there, the rubberized grips. I just tend to like the way that feels. This is a very comfortable pistol in my hand. I mean, look at that. Look at the size of that hole. There you go. Look at that thing. It's like shooting quarters at people. They used to say the hollow points back then in the 80s were like flying ashtrays. That was a common term with shooting 45 ACP, hollow points, flying ashtrays, because that big old open cavity. Anyways, this was just a quick video to answer questions as to my love affair with the 45 ACP. This video was not necessarily about the Sig Sauer pistol, because it's just a bullet launcher. It shoots 45 ACP, so I picked this one. My Glock 21 and my 1911, that stuff is put away. This is kind of like my go-to home defense gun. And that's pretty much it. 45 ACP. I got a lot of love for the 45 ACP, but I don't have any hatred towards 9mm or 10mm or anything else. I like 357 Magnum. It's another one of my favorite cartridges. I like the 9mm as well. It's one of my favorites. But ultimately, it's all about the 45 ACP as far as I'm concerned. And as you guys can see, there's no rounds in there. And that's it. 45 ACP all day long. This is Staff Sergeant Calhoun coming at you, answering those questions that you guys ask. If you guys got any more questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will read those comments, and I will answer those questions. This is Staff Sergeant Calhoun again saying much love, Semper Fidelis, peace out.